well, what would you want to know about the album?
What's it called?
It's called Nucleopatra. It's got songs and tunes on that I sing. I'm constantly asked this question. I really don't know what to say about the album. It's just another album that I've made.
You didn't approach this with any different way that you would approach?
In a very slapdash fashion. Every album that we've ever done, we've approached in a very... We're not really orientated so much towards mainstream commercial success. Making an album or making records is a great job to do, but there comes a time that if your record is successful, where you have to say, stop, I want to go and do another one. Like with The Case of Spin Me Round was a hit now 11 years ago, and it's got to the point where I'm starting to feel like Judy Garland singing Over the Rainbow and seriously thinking of killing myself with diet pills, because I get tired of repetition, which makes it very difficult for record companies and things like that to work with me, because I'll only promote something for so long. I don't believe in milking something to the point of torture. But it is, we've done a new album. We recorded it about a year ago. We're doing separate deals in every territory around the world, because I don't want to be with just one company, because if you piss one area off, then you've had it in every other area. So it's taken time for it to be released in different territories, and now the workload's coming at us.
I was surprised that Spin Me Round was the first single. Was that?
It wasn't anything. Yeah, it was the record company, and if that makes their job easy, I've got to admit that over the years I've made record companies want to kill me quite often. In one way I'm sad it's been reissued, because, well, if it had just been a reissue of the old mix, I would have felt that I was conning people, but because it's been re-recorded and remixed, it's not so bad, and people seem to still want it, which is really very nice. I'm not complaining about that, but I do other things. No, I don't dislike the guy. I mean, Pete Waterman had very little to do with the production side of records anyway. He was just like the brand name on it. It was the two people who we worked with, Mike Stock and Matt Aitken, that I have the thing against. When we initially went to them to do our first album, which was Youthquake and You Spin Me Round, because in England, I don't know how it is in other territories, they have the idea that dance music or disco music is particularly aimed at the gay market, which from my point of view it isn't. It's just the music that I do. They have a very bad attitude towards the consumers of their music. I've never worked with such vile human beings in my entire life. Pete Waterman was a different case altogether. From a business point of view, I thought they were very, very greedy, and I do have a bone of contention about the fact that they, well, how can I explain it? They started to destroy the creative side of the music industry, and they started to write the songs and create the artist, etc., etc. And I think that is an unhealthy thing in the music industry, and I think it's responsible for a lot of the recession and smaller record sales worldwide for people, because on an international scale, it's very hard for people to take Jason Donovan seriously on any level. His records may have been okay, I thought they were shit. I mean, even Kylie's made good records. I've been reading interviews saying that I hated Kylie. I have nothing against Kylie whatsoever. I just don't like what she represented. And the fact that she's become supposedly a gay icon, I think that just shows how low the gay icon standard has slipped, really. The reason that we went to Stock Aitken Waterman in the first place was we already had that sound. We were already doing what people classify as high energy music and working in the wheels of the corporate industry. Before they will allow a band in the studio, you have to have a producer with you to make sure things are technically perfect. And I chose Stock Aitken Waterman because they'd done a Divine single that I particularly liked. I thought it was funny and it sounded like one of our songs. And I thought, well, because they've done it before, they'll make the recording process very easy and it'll be very, very quickly. And it all worked out really, really well, apart from the fact that when we went into them to work with them, they no longer wanted to make records for what they thought were a bunch of old pansies. You know, they didn't want to do it. They wanted to turn us into a rock group and stuff, and we had to fight to keep our sound that way. And once it was so successful, they decided, oh, we can get anyone in front of this, we can just use the same backing track. It's not as sour as it comes across. It's a business thing, and I wouldn't work with them ever again. Well, people keep telling me I am. I don't think in terms of gay, straight, or black or white. It's my upbringing. It's not something that's been politically heaped upon me. The world that I grew up in was a very different world than most people grow up in today, and nothing was wrong, and everybody was the same. And now when I go out doing promotion work and, you know, doing interviews and stuff, people say, how do you feel about being a gay icon? Well, you know, how could I possibly say how I feel? It's just something that happens, and I don't really differentiate between gay, straight, and black and white. You know, it's just one big mass of people to me.
So beautiful.
Well, people get a bit disappointed, and they think that I'm sitting here in denial about things. I mean, my social life in England, and even when I travel, I don't go strictly to gay clubs. I go to mixed clubs. I don't like the ghettoization of the gay community. It's not an ideal world, and I don't understand the political ramifications of it. I know that in London, England, there is almost a gay ghetto, which is the Soho area, and it's probably the best area that there is in London, but it makes me a little bit sad that it's not more mixed. I don't know where the fault lies. Is it on the side of the gay community or the heterosexual community? I really don't know where the fault lies, but there's not enough mixing in England. I don't know about here. My sexuality and stuff like that, I mean, you can't judge a book by its cover, and I go whatever way the wind blows me. And the whole labelling thing, I've got to think of a much more intellectual way of answering this. It's not a question that I spend time thinking about, because to me it was never an issue. Never an issue. I'm happily married. Obviously I've, you know, experienced both sides of the coin. I have no problem. Obviously people who are, a lot of people have a lot more problems than I do. I'm just very, very lucky. It's Steve and I, and whoever we choose to work with at the time. I don't want a rigid lineup, because I think that most people who are professional musicians suffer from what I call the greed factor. They want massive, massive commercial success. They'll do anything to get it. That's what they go into it for. If that happens to me, and it has happened before, that's just a bonus. That's not the main motivation. I'm not that passionate about being a professional musician. That's just something I do. I still haven't found the niche in life that everybody looks for, where you think, oh, I want to dedicate my entire life to doing this. Music's something I do at the moment. It's just a means to an end. I enjoy doing it, but working with other musicians who have spent all their life strumming away on a bass guitar, I feel that they become unhappy, and when I sense that unhappiness, I feel guilty, and when I feel guilty, I just think, piss off, go and do something else. And Steve's like the manager now, because I find it very difficult to work with ordinary managers, and he's also the producer and co-writer. It's better like that. We're just responsible for ourselves. We're not carrying anybody else's responsibilities. Just not ready for it. Well, I've got this idea now that anybody who's going to work in the music industry, because it's probably the toughest and straightest industry that you will work in. I mean, the media people and things aren't so narrow-minded, but largely the record company people I've dealt with, apart from my Australian record company, are all particularly twisted, bitter people, really old men who have strange attitudes. And I've forgotten the question. I just ramble. Oh God, I forgot the question. I always thought being in the music industry was about self-expression, and it appears to me that it's largely not self-expression. But I've been allowed more than most. Well, you know, I came here and I was talking to a lot of the ordinary press, the ordinary media, and they were going, oh, do you know what, you're letting yourself in for sleazeball. People's attitude was as though I was going to be really shocked. All I can say about sleazeball is anything I saw at sleazeball I've seen before, because we have similar events in London, all over the world. And all I can say about sleazeball is the audience was fantastic, and the organisation was far superior to any event like that I've done before. The people who organised the staging, the whole thing was very, very organised. I didn't get a chance to see much of sleazeball. I did 2 numbers and then went home. You know, I looked at the club a little bit. It was great fun. I think it's a positive thing that people come together in that huge amount. You know, they all get together, they can let the hair down once in a while. I don't know how this country runs. It seems to me like that is a really, really big annual event. We have monthly things like that go on in London. And if that's a yearly event here, it's a necessary thing where people can express themselves and dress up and get ripped and fall over. Nobody gets hurt. There's nothing bad goes on there. So it was really, really good. I'm still friends with Morrissey. I haven't fallen out or anything. I haven't seen him for about a year, or, you know, all my friends, I don't really keep that, I don't send postcards from the Edge or, you know, phone them up. I haven't seen him for a long time, and I have to say that I don't suppose I really want to anymore. Not because of anything he's done or I've done. We've just got very, very little in common. I think Morrissey, I think he needs to live a life. He's afraid of having fun. And when I got to know him, and I got to know him really, really well, I realised he was somebody who was afraid of being happy, because a lot of his music is about his sadness and his isolation, and in order to maintain his creativity, he feels that he has to permanently perpetuate that lifestyle. And I don't feel sorry for him in a patronising way, but I think he needs to have a little bit of fun. I don't think he does have very much fun. And also he's very, very typecast by his fans. I don't know about in this country, but in England, you know, the vegetarian movement. And I know he craves a pair of leather jeans, but he realised that he couldn't possibly have them because his fans would turn against him. He became a spokesperson very, very early for his views, and he's very, very good at expressing his views, but now he's not allowed to change, and he has a lot of fear of changing, and his hardcore base abandoning him. He's just like anybody else. He lives an enforced life of misery, you know. So I've got no time for that. I mean, it's not as though terrible things have happened in his life. He's very successful, he's very talented, so I don't see that much area to be miserable in, and he just has to keep that way. So it's a bit like, you know, Fire and Ice, two completely different personalities. It was interesting getting to know somebody like that, but I'm glad that I'm not like him, and I'm sure he's glad he's not like me as well.
So we should be looking at that album and duets then?
Well, there's something actually else that I've seen here. There's a bootleg album where I did a live performance with him at the Royal Albert Hall back in the 80s. I can't even remember what the song is, but no, there wouldn't be any duets. I've got no compulsion to duet with anybody.
So you wouldn't want to work with no musicians that inspire you?
No, I wish Margarita Bracattana would cover You Spin Me Round. She's my favourite musician.
I'm sure she would have.
Oh, I'm desperate for her to do that. You know, I arrived at a hotel the other day and they go, you know, I heard you were dead. I mean, no, I'm very much alive. Well, there's going to be, you know, here we go, the salesman promoting. What's going to be in the future? There's going to be a Greatest Hits album, but it's not just going to be the songs from the 80s that are just put on a CD and sold. We're re-recording them at the moment and having remixes done, so they've got a new slant. And there'll be a tour to promote that, and that's as far as I really project into the future. I don't really look back to the past, and I don't project far into the future, and I can't say I live every day as it comes. I'm sort of a week at a time kind of gal.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Oh God, that was really easy. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to
You're
meet you.
welcome. Oh, it was great to meet you as well. Thanks a lot.